Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another VTuber reaction. Again, we have Towa, and this time it is Error, one of the most requested songs I've gotten over the last couple videos, and finally it has reached the top spot, so here we are listening to this one. I'm very aware that this is a cover and that this is not an original song by Towa, so no worries about throwing that tidbit at me. I know that this is originally a song by somebody else, so without further ado, and with many people wanting me to get to this over the course of like 2 weeks now, let's go. I have not heard the original version though. I want to throw that out there. Felt like it would ruin the experience. Woo. Love those hung harmonies. Sitting on the same note. Oh, that's so neat. All right, push out that note. That's reaching the top of a range. Very soulful chorus there. The entire song has a lot of heart. I like the patterning on that. God, the constant harmony on the top. That's angelic. It never stops. But it might if we hit a bridge. Nope, it's still there. Especially this chorus, it just sounds so cool. Sonically, it's so tight. This is just a good song. This is just well written. Beautifully performed. I'm gonna have to listen to the original real quick, and I will get back to you once I do that so I can make some comparisons between the two. All right, I'm back from giving both of them a listen and listening to hear what I liked and didn't like about both of them, and I think it's pretty even split across the board. I do think I prefer Towa's version overall just because it has a little bit more of that organic feel to it, because the other being Vocaloid, while that's awesome, it definitely loses some of that feel in the vocals. You lose that emotion when you have to synthesize synthesize a voice. You can only do so much to synthesize emotion, especially in Vocaloids. So when you get down to it, this one definitely feels a lot more personal, and it feels a little bit better in that regard. The mixing is also very different, so I can't really compare those two. There are certain things that were done differently. For example, that phaser part near the end, right before the final refrain of the chorus, in Towa's version is a lot more broad. There's a lot less of that high end on the top, and the other one actually sounds very reminiscent of how like Blink-182 used to do their phasers back in the early 2000s, late 90s, and that's a definite aesthetic that's hard to replicate if you're not using stuff, sound, just sonically it doesn't work as well if you don't have as many harsh tones. So Towa's voice not being harsh at all definitely did benefit from that being softened in her mix comparatively. So that's not a bad thing, it's just one of those subtle differences between the two where tonally it actually makes sense to change it and make that a little bit more soft. However, I did kind of prefer the way the other one sounded in tone there, just because I like that slightly harsher sound on the phaser. It just feels a little bit more, I guess that's just my nostalgia talking, but it feels kind of crispy and I like it. It makes my brain go burr, but either way, not a big deal. Another thing that they changed in Towa's version was actually the drums during the, like, I think it's 1 minute 20 seconds in, there's like this little break that's kind of a marching snare thing. In the original version, there's a completely different rhythm happening there, and to be frank, it is a little busy, but I think in that song it works really well, like in that specific version. However, in Towa's version, since again it's a little bit more soft, but it has some more of that organic flair to it, simplifying that part and getting rid of all that like complexity in that part kind of makes sense for her version. I kind of wish it was kept, just because I am a drummer and I do have my bias there. I do like having those extra little flares being thrown in there, some creative drum work, but at the same time I get why they decided to not do that, because when it really breaks down, there's not really a point to have all that going on in that spot. It more felt like Nikki was just kind of messing around with their sound at that point and was like, ooh, what can I do that sounds kind of neat here? And that's what they ended up with. So omitting that for Towa's version totally makes sense. And again, just on the overall song here, the lyrics feel so much more powerful with an actual person singing them. They did fine in the original version, but you have the emotion to back up this heart-wrenching story that's being told through this song, and you feel that emotion, that pain, and that stress. It just feels so much better. So Towa knocked it out of the park yet again with another amazing song. But of course, you have to give credit where it's due. The original songwriter here, brilliant work overall. The composition is so bright and inviting, but it's so gut-wrenching. Even if you can't understand the lyrics, you can feel it. And that's one of my favorite things about music ever, is that it's completely universal. You can truly feel the emotion. Unless you're a Japanese artist making some weird song that has a really happy tune and really sad lyrics, which doesn't happen a lot, but it happens more than you would think.
But it's weird that it happened twice, right?
But we still have Towa's amazing version here to also give credit to. The mix was great. The adjustments were fantastic for her vocal range and her abilities and the way that her voice sounds. It has a much more open tone. You want to be able to address that in the mix, and they definitely did. There is finally a time where I've heard her kind of reach the top of her range during those two notes in there, and that's perfectly fine, because while it is the top of her range and you can hear her reaching for them, she didn't miss them. She still hit those notes, which is still great and definitely impressive to get all the way up there and hold on to it, because she didn't sound like she was wavering. It didn't sound like it was too heavily adjusted in post. She still got there, and that is definitely worth praise as well. And now I definitely see why people wanted me to listen to this one, because holy shit, this song is so good. Just overall, the writing in it is beautiful. The performance in this case is beautiful. I love it for everything that it is. This is a great song. I could sing this song's praises for way longer than I probably should, so I should end what I'm saying here, but I love this one, and you guys could probably definitely expect me to play this on the drums at some point for a YouTube short and TikTok at some point soon, but I'm not going to show myself too hard, so thank you all so very much for watching, and I do want to offer up a challenge for you guys. I've heard a lot of Towa recently. I've had, I think, the last 3 or 4 videos VTubers have been Towa, and I kind of want to hear somebody else in the VTuber space. While I do definitely love Towa's voice, I want to give somebody else a chance to impress me, somebody new, somebody I have not done a VTuber song reaction to. If you don't know which ones I have reacted to, there's of course the playlist, so just kind of pick through those, and if you see somebody, don't request a song from them. I want to see somebody new in my list. I want to see a song from a person I have not heard yet and really hear what they have to offer, because while I do love Towa, I love her sound, I still want to experience the greater scope of what VTubers have in store musically, and I can only do that if I put my foot down at some point. So please request something from somebody new this time around. I'm really interested in hearing what that is. Leave a comment down below, of course, and the highest rated comment will of course be the one I get to. That's usually how I do things here. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to follow me and support me for more in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!